across the neck, so you could pop that. Beautiful. That's what I'm talking about.
This was his big mistake.
Fight for Georgia.
მოგესალმებით, დაგიბრუნდით. ბიჭო, ცოტა ხوار ესა ვანები გვწმენელებს, ძალიან ბევრი ხوار მოგდის, ანუ მაგას გეკითხები ყოველ დღე ერთ მეორეს მიყოლები თუ არა? თუ მაინც არავინ არ გვიყურებს ერთი 500 კაცის გარდა და რა მნიშვნელობა.
ბიჭო, სხვათაშორის მოვიდა ეგეთი ისა კომენტი, რომ საღოლ ბიჭებო, ესეთი აქტიურები რო ხართო,
სხვათაშორის წეღარ ვნახე ეგ მე.
ესეთი დაბალი ნომრებით რო ესეთი აქტიურები ხართო?
თან კომპლიმენტი გითხრა შეგვაქვს თან დავხსინე ცოტა. ჩვენ როგორც თქვით თავიდან ეს არის ჩვენი პირველ რიგში საკუთარი თავის გვიხარია, იმიტომ ვაკეთებთ რა, ანუ და თუ რამეს სხვას მოიტანს და სადმე სხვაგან წაგვიყვანს ეს შოუ, ხო კარგი თუ არა და ნუ როგორც არის ისე არის რა.
დღეს უნდა ვთქვა, რომ დღეს ისეთი სტუმარი ყავს, რომ ალბათ მე დღეს სამსახურში დავაგვიანებ. ეხლა არის ჩემთან 6:10 წუთი და 6-ზე გავდივარ ხოლმე სამსახურში რა, მაგრამ
6:10 წუთი როგორა? ხო.
მაგრამ რომიმ ისეთი
7:09 არ გადიხარ?
რომიმ ისეთი ინტერვიუ აგდო, რომ ნუ დაგვიანება ღირს ამჯერად რა. ნამდვილად დაგვიანება და ალბათ გაცდენათ, მაგრამ რავი, ხო იცი სამსახური. მაინც სამსახურია. Man, we gotta work for that money. და კიდე ის უთხრათ მსმენელს, რომ დღეს იქნება ჩვენი ინტერვიუ ინგლისურ ენაზე და
ხო. სხვა გზა არ არის ხა.
მე კი შევთავაზე რომ ის რომ მოდი შენი ბაზრე მეთქი ინგლისურად და მე შიგადაში გაი რომ მორჩებით ლაპარაკს, აი კითხვების და პასუხების მეთქი, მე ქართულად შემიძლია გადავთარგმნო მეთქი, მაგრამ რომიმ მგონი ეგ არ იქნება
კაი. არის ვარგებს ეგრე, ხო, არის ვარგებს. ინტერვიუს დინამიკას შეაჩერებს და მაგას ჯობია მე რაღაც კლიპები ყველაზე საინტერესო რაც იქნება ესეთი ქართველი მსმენელისთვის რაღაც ამოვჭრათ მე და ცოტა შეიძლება ტიტრები დავადოთ ან რაღაც მოგვიანებით, იმიტომ რომ ეგრე რო ვქნათ უბრალოდ აზრი არ აქვს ხარა.
ხო და ბარე მიდი უთხრათ ხალხს დღეს ვინ იქნება 100
მიდი შენ უთხარი.
104 ეპიზოდზე დღეს შემოგვიერთება the one and only Merab Dwalishvilis ტრენერი და ჩემპიონების ტრენერი Ray Longo.
ხო, დღეს Ray Longo-მ დაგვდო პატივი და გვესტუმრება დღეს გადაცემაში. შევეცდებით მაქსიმალურად ესეთი საინტერესო კითხვები დავუსვათ განსაკუთრებით ქართველი გულშემატკივრებისთვის და რამოდენიმე ესეთ კითხვასაც ჩავაკვეხეთ რა ჩვენთვის საინტერესო, ჩვენაც გვაინტერესებს მე პირადად კიდე და მე მგონი კაი გამოვა, იმედი არ გვიწყენთ რომ ინგლისურად არის ხა ქართული არის ის რეიმ სამწუხაროდ ასე რომ მაგრამ ყოველ დღე არ გეძლევა შანსი ხა ეგეთ ტრენერს ესაუბრო, ასე რომ უნდა დავჯერდეთ ინგლისურ ენას ამ შემთხვევაში და არ არის ხა გაჭირვება ინგლისურიდან ხარისხულად თარგმნა, ხო? ყველას ყავს ვიღაცა, უკვე თითქმის ყველას ესმის ინგლისური, ასე თუ ისე რა. მე ყველას ყავს ვიღაცა, ვისაც შეუძლია გადაუთან თუ რაღაცას განსაკუთრებით დაგაინტერესებს ინტერვიუში თქვა და რაღაცას ვერ გაიგებ რაღაცა და მე მგონი არის მაგის საშუალება, რომ გადაითარგმნოს ხო რაღაცნაირად. ჩვენ შევეცდებით მაქსიმალურად რესურსები. ამიტომ ვიძახი რა, ცოტა რომ ახლა უფრო ესეთი შოუ რო გქონდეს, როდესაც ესეთ სტუმარს უფრო მეტი სტუმრებს მოვიყვანდი ალბათ სავარაუდოდ, მოვიყვანდით და გადავთარგმნით კიდევ ტიტრებსაც დავადებდით, მაგრამ ჩვენ იმის რესურსი არ გვაქვს შოუს მასშტაბებიდან გამომდინარე, რომ ეგეთი რაღაცები ვაკეთოთ და ტიტრების დადებას ამას ყველაფერს დრო უჭირდება, ამას არ არის ეგეთი მარტივი, ხო? არ დავიწყე ხა წუწუნს ფულზე და იმაზე, მაგრამ ეგრეა, ყველაფერს რესურსია საჭირო. და ეს რესურსი როცა არ გაქვს და მორჩა რა.
Yeah, man. Ეგ იქნება extremely helpful. და კიდე კომენტი მოვიდა ემზარ ნინუასგან, დავით ქირიაზე, თურმე, როგორც იძახის ემზარი, დავითას არ აქვს გაწყვეტილი კონტრაქტი One Championship-თანო. ეგ არ ვიცოდი მე, იმიტომ რომ მე მეგონა რომ One Championship-ს ქონდა ექსკლუზიური კონტრაქტი რა.
მოგესმის არა აქვს ეგეთი კონტრაქტი ხო? აბა ანუ აქვს სხვაგან ბრძოლის უფლება რა.
ნუ ძალიან კარგი ხო, ეგ ძალიან კაი არის რომ
კაია რა თქმა უნდა.
Welcome to New York, New York.
Today our guest we have a very 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 special guest today. A legendary MMA coach, and I'd say more so. Can you hear us?
Yeah, better. Okay, I knew it was that
Okay,
shitty thing I was
awesome. Here we go. Right off the bat.
Yeah,
our guest today is a legendary MMA coach, and if you ask me, more so a one of a kind personality in this sport, Mr. Ray Longo himself. This man his gym has produced us with multiple UFC champions in multiple weight classes, and he was able to do this from a local gym, neighborhood gym, right? He never went to scout no fighters, nothing, just a local neighborhood gym in the middle of New York. And great accomplishments. Congratulations, and thank you so much for joining us today, coach. It's an honor for both of us, and I'm sure that our listeners will appreciate it. Let's say we have a lot of soccer fans on this channel, and if you're a soccer fan and you have a soccer show, imagine you get to interview someone like Pep Guardiola or Mourinho. That's the equivalent of what we're doing here with Ray today. Thank you so much for showing up, coach. How you doing?
No, I feel great, man. Feel really good. Nice. Thanks for having me on.
I think they're all Italian as well, right?
That's it. How are the Italians doing in soccer? They doing
good.
Anything? Oh, good. They're hanging in there.
Good, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
Very good.
Yeah, we got a young star now playing for Napoli, Maradona's former club. A young Georgian player, 21-year-old. He's taking the scene by storm. He's a big deal right now.
Wow. And what other sports are the Georgians excelling at? Anything right now?
Well, judo is always our sport. As you know, we've always been top 5 in judo for the past, I don't know how many years. Wrestling, freestyle, and Greco-Roman, that's always going to be there for us.
Yeah, I'll tell you that you know that kid Tornicki was a monster.
Yeah.
Monster, that kid.
Nagliashvili, right? Coach, he trains with you, right?
I haven't seen him in about a month, but he was there. He was an animal, that kid.
I saw him at Flex Fight.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
George, by the way, coach, I didn't get to introduce George to you. This guy, so listen to this. This guy was born in Georgia, raised in London, England. Now he lives in China, and this fucking guy actually speaks Chinese. I mean, think about it.
That's crazy. Listen,
where else are you gonna see? Where else are you gonna get to a show? Go to a show where you see a Georgian fella who speaks Chinese. This fucking guy teaches Chinese kids English in Chinese. That's crazy.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool though. But I tell you, hey, look, that's what the world's coming to. There's an Albanian kid in the gym who fights, Armando Getcha, who grew up in Italy, and now he lives in New York. So he speaks Italian, Albanian, and English very well, like very, very. I mean, fluent. There's, you'd never know where he was from, but I think this is.
I thought you were mentioning Dennis there for a second. Dennis Bazooka. We've been following him and a lot of the fighters from Law MMA.
Yeah. Dennis is doing good. We got a couple of big fights coming up in the next month for those guys. First, we got Frivola at the Garden, and then Dennis, Dylan Montello, and Armando fight like basically on the same night, but in different places.
Coach,
Yeah.
let me ask you: do you have anybody on Bellator card in Chicago, November?
No,
No,
no.
because
The
I'm
only guy
because
we have Montalvo, but he had a bicep injury, so he's looking to make his comeback in probably
oh
December, early January. But he probably would have been on there, but he's not. He's not ready
yeah,
yet.
because I
Yeah,
would have seen you
Justin's
there.
been
I'm
killing
going
it in
there.
Bellator.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
Who?
we Justin.
just
Oh yeah, no, he's been
Yeah, he's been
crushing it.
killing it.
No,
yeah,
no, he's good. He's really, really good. That kid.
yeah.
You
He's
know.
a good kid too.
Yeah, yeah, very nice kid. Yep.
We actually
All right,
spoke to
let's.
Matt Fravola and Pumi.
Yeah,
Also, we spoke to John Beneducci, and I just want to do a quick shout out to my man Robert Vasquez from Cap Combat Sports for hooking us up with that. Thanks a lot.
Nice.
yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Good people all around.
Yeah.
Yeah, good people. Coach, listen, let's just jump into it right away. Well, first of all, let me say it again. I can't stress this enough. How when I first showed up at the gym, the first thing that hit me about you was that how nice you are to everybody. Like you treat everybody with respect, basically. I mean, you can be a nobody. Like I showed up, you didn't even know me, and you were talking to me like I was, and this is Ray Longo I'm talking to, and he's talking to me like a regular guy from the street. Like it was really, really something
Oh.
else. I mean, I've met people that I've seen on TV before, and they didn't rub me the right way when I met them in person. In your case, it was a great experience. It still is every time I see you. So listen, thank you again. And I want to ask you,
Yeah.
first of all, we want to start. Of course, the listeners are gonna kill us if we don't start with this. Talk
Yeah.
to me about please talk to me about the Merab Aljo saga. What's going on? Like how is like what do you think is next for Merab? Who would you want the next opponent for him? What's gonna happen with Aljo? Hopefully he hangs on to a belt as long as he wants to. But like, how do you imagine this going forward?
Man, I tell you, that's a great question. Obviously, everybody wants to know that. Right now, as it stands, these guys are like DC and Cain
Yeah.
Velasquez. They are super close friends. Each of
Mm-hmm.
the other guy's success is in is due to in large part the other guy. So
Yeah.
Marab's always there for Aljo. Aljo's always there for Marab. They're 100% never going to fight. I mean, there's a couple options. Aljo, you know, he defends the belt another time. Maybe he goes to 45. He vacates the title if it's guaranteed Marab gets a shot because he wants
Yeah.
to see Marab champion too. We all want to see. Everybody wants to see everybody accomplish their goals, and I think. Look, I've said this a million times. I don't. Money's not my god, so I'd rather friendship is look, it's important, right? You don't want to everything money, 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 money.
Yeah.
So um look, and there's going to be a million people that'll say that. What a stupid mentality. You got to just take as much as you can. But look, money's the type of thing. It's not. Uh, Here's the key to me with money. You just want to find that balance of what's enough, right? You don't want
Yeah.
excess because with excess comes a lot of trouble, and obviously you don't want to be doing without where you can't go out for a meal when you want or whatever. So that to me is the key. And these guys both right now are doing great. They're
Yeah.
both doing great. Now, again, everybody wants to see Merab get his shot, and I'm sure he's going to get his shot. So we'll have to figure it out. He could go down to 25, which, believe it or not, Romy, when he first came to the gym, he told me, I'll fight at 35. When I hit the UFC, I'll go to 25.
Yeah.
But then he just kept getting better and better. In those fights, he was, he's
Yeah.
on a roll. I mean, think of the win
Yeah.
streak these guys are on together. Marab
Absolutely
technically never
crazy.
lost. Romy never lost in the UFC.
He didn't.
He
Yeah.
really didn't
Yeah.
lose. So what has he got? 9 fights in a row. The other guy's got the record only
That,
because Marab got his fights. Those were robberies,
here's the
Especially the
crazy
Ricky
thing,
Simone
coach.
fight. Unbelievable.
especially
Here's
the
the
Ricky Simone fight.
I would say especially Ricky Simone, but also his first fight with Frankie.
Yeah, he won that
Because
fight.
he fought sick, and I know what
Oh,
it's like to fight
100%
sick.
sick. 100%
When you
fought sick.
when you're sick and you fight, it crushes your body,
And
and he
he's
he, he
and
still
and
won
it,
that.
yeah, and he still set the takedown record in that fight. How the
Yeah.
hell does he
Yeah.
lose? That was
Guys,
one
Yeah. I don't
fight
know.
that was one fight Matt looked at me and said, "No, that's a that was the only fight Matt was ever wrong on because normally at the end of the fight we know who wins. That
Yeah.
one we both thought that Marab definitely won. When they announced that, even Frankie Science, who's a nice guy. He didn't like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But think about that. He'd have the record. I mean, these two guys are crushing that division, statistically anyway.
And just now mentioning Ricky Simone, there was a tweet from him not long ago saying that, what do you guys feel about rematches? And then there was a media outlet writing that they want to have Merab versus Ricky Simone too. And I was like, no.
He's got to earn that. I mean, Merab's too far up now. You know what I mean? So
come on.
Merab earned that right to get a shot, and I'm sure he's going to get a shot. But I think that's all that's all I could say on that. I don't know what they're going to do. I just know they're super close and that they'll do the right thing no matter what it is. I have full confidence in that. Especially as long as I'm around and I have any input into it. That's the route I'm going.
And as for a future opponent, I mean, I listened to the Ray Longo Minute. Shout out John Anik and Florian, and I heard that maybe could possibly be Corey Sandhagen, or like stylistically. I mean, who's the toughest fight, do you think, Ray, for Merab in the top 5? Like, we're looking at guys like Peter Yan, Chito Vera, TJ, who's probably going to be out for a while, right?
TJ's done. I think you're not going to see him for a minimum a year. He's going to be out of the loop, and he's just getting older. And I think he's got too many things wrong with him at this point. But
and shoulder, I know how bad. I know how bad the shoulder injury can be. I know you had the problems with your shoulder, right?
Without a doubt, I dislocated, and it wasn't going back in. Trust me, they were going to operate, and then they had like a 400 pound. Yeah, it was crazy. They had to yank it. They had to really stretch it out. Yeah. So his was subluxing all over the place, according to them. So he's got to get that surgically repaired, and who knows what the timeline is. He's not getting better as time goes on because he can't train the right way, and he's getting older. Yeah. So I think Merab. I mean, look, if Aljo took Cejudo, if they made that fight, then I'm going to say that Merab would probably fight O'Malley, and the winner of that fight, fights. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the way it would go. Does O'Malley want to fight him after what we saw the other night? Probably not.
We do. We want him to fight Merab, but
well, Merab's been calling him out for 3 years now. He's since Russia. I don't.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
He was the first fight on the Russia card against Tyrion Ware.
How symbolic is that for a Georgian fighter to be the first fighter to win a fight on the UFC card in Russia? That's history for us. Listen, we want you around. You just said stay as long as you're going to be. We want you around our guys in particular for a long time because listen, Georgians. Throughout the history, we haven't had really a lot of allies who didn't screw us over. And when we see somebody who gives us love and support, we want to give it back to them like a million times over. That's how we are. And listen, I know you have a lot of guys, a lot of other Georgian guys in the gym right now, right?
Yeah, there is a lot of guys in the gym. One guy just fought. I can't even think of his name. Shit. He just won his fight. No, he's a nice guy. He was
the tall kid
too. No, the dancer. Who's that guy?
Georgie. Yeah.
No, was it Georgie? His name too. There's another Georgie in there.
Everyone's a Georgie already.
Yeah, well then, No, I'm gonna tell you. Could he be? Then we have two Georgies in there.
Yeah, the other one. I know them. I know all of them.
No, the one Georgie drives an Uber. He's an Uber driver.
Yeah.
And the other guys, when we went to eat with Merab, he's fantastic. But
explosive.
Look, out of all the cultures I've been to and been around, I always say this. I'm not joking. The Georgians are like the closest thing. I mean, everybody's just a nice guy. I can't stress it enough. It's almost, to me, they're just like New Yorkers. I don't know what it is.
You know what the secret is? I think it's all the suffering that we've been through. I think
without a doubt. Yeah, I like that about Merab too. I think he's got such a appreciation for life, and he's grateful for everything, and he's just a different cat, man. Like again, I'm learning from him. Like he's very, very smart. in a simplistic way. He really is.
Yeah.
He's got great logic. I think he always makes the right decisions, and he's just a hardworking guy. Yeah, that's it, which I think is beautiful.
Yeah, I think that relates to the question that one of our followers asked us on Instagram when he heard that Ray was going to be on. Is that Otto Taknishvili, shout out, by the way. What was your first initial thoughts on Merab when you first met him? I think you basically pretty much covered that right now. And then when you saw him train for the first time.
Well, I don't know if I covered it, but when I first met him, there was a big language problem. So I
Yeah.
knew it was a nice guy, right? It was him and David. Remember Big
David.
Yeah.
David?
David
David, yeah.
Kheshelashvili, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's yeah.
Romy, you would know better than
Yeah,
me.
yeah, I know.
I'm
Yeah,
bad
yeah,
with
yeah.
names. I'll tell you right now, I'm horrible with names. But
Yeah.
Big David, so it was a little rough, and he had to actually leave for a while because there were Georgians trained in another spot. He was so upset. He brought like an interpreter to say, "Look, I don't want to do this, but I have to go because I can't." Like the language barrier was killing him.
Yeah.
And but in that, maybe he left for 3 months, but he got his English better. By the time he came back, he could speak English way better. And so he
Yeah.
really tried, right? And then the rest is, yeah, once he could verbalize himself, you saw what a great guy he was, and it gets better and better as it goes on, and I love when I used to interview him, he wanted to show everybody he spoke English. Another thing I like about him, you know what I mean? Like he really wanted to embrace where he was living now, and obviously he's proud of his heritage, and they can't take that away from the guy. He loves it, and he got great at speaking English. He wanted to be able to communicate better. So
You know what I remember the most about the Merab's come up even before the UFC, and this is a really, really rare thing. You would kind of promote him, and you would push him on every show you would get to go on. Even before he ever won that title in Atlantic City, you would talk about him nonstop. Pay attention to this kid. This kid is gonna be somebody soon. And I remember that very clearly. I used to text him like every time because I knew he didn't speak much English back then. I was like, dude, Ray
right.
Longo was talking about you again on this show. Ray Longo was talking about you on that show. I used to text him all the time. And then boom, it happened. Thank God. And yeah, I remember that. I don't see a lot of coaches doing that actually.
Yeah,
And
well, look, it's refreshing to see a guy work so hard in the room. I mean, you
yeah,
have to shout those guys out. Look,
yeah,
again, I'm getting older, right? I like helping people. I mean, I always look when I look at Merab, I want to know that if I went to Georgia or someplace else,
you
somebody would do
should.
the same for me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's it.
Yeah,
I mean, you're in another country. You don't speak the language. I'll do anything for that guy. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, and I did do a couple of things for
Yo,
him above and beyond some stuff. You know what I mean? So I knew he was a good guy from day one, and those are the guys I want to surround myself with.
I wish I had Ray Longo in my corner when I was 16 years old and I came here by myself. All fucked up.
Yeah, no. See, that's the difference, though, man. I mean, I
Yeah,
look at that stuff and go, I don't know. It's scary to me. You know what I mean? Like, I just flew back from, Dubai, which was nothing. That's so multicultural now. It doesn't matter. But, when we're in Russia and nobody's speaking the language, I
yeah.
don't want to be there. You know what I mean?
You don't want that.
It's scary. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But he was always a good guy. Going back to it, he was just a hard worker, always willing to help other people. And, that's it. I don't know. I'm glad everything worked out for him. I really am.
Coach, I have a question, and so I've heard Joe Rogan talk about this before. The first time you told him about Chris Weidman, Joe describes it. Uh, this is how Joe said it. I met when I asked Ray Longo about this kid. Chris was still relatively unknown,
Now, I
and
know
he
what you're gonna
goes,
say. Yeah.
and he goes, Ray goes, this kid's a motherfucker.
Yeah.
And then boom, he exploded and he became a champ, and the rest is history. Listen, today, well, out of all the guys that you have in the gym, all the guys you're looking at and observing, uh, who would you describe like that now? And would you describe
Uh,
anybody like that right now?
I'm gonna tell you, like Weidman was a motherfucker, right? You don't
Yeah,
see that. I mean, he was leaving people laying on the floor. I mean, he was
yeah,
he was he was brutal. Like he was. I don't. There's nobody like that. You know, he was just ripping through rooms of people, and it's that old thing. I think he got civilized. You know what I mean? He
Yeah,
got married, had 3 kids, bought a house all within like whatever. And
left New York.
life take. Well, that's different. Even before that,
Yeah,
life takes a
yeah,
different meaning when you start having kids. You know that you have. I
yeah,
know you had a
yeah.
little son
I
when
have a
you
little
used to
boy.
hit
Yeah,
the big. That's what I remember anyway. That you had a
yeah,
little
yeah,
kid.
yeah.
That's why I say you could always call me to do these things because you were a good guy. I don't know. We had this
I
conversation
appreciate it.
like I did talk to you because
Yeah,
you were a nice guy. I saw you were technical too. You definitely had good hands.
thank
And
you,
I
coach.
like again for you, I knew what it was like to have a kid. And you wanted to get your training in. You're coming from
Yeah,
Brooklyn. I mean, it's what are you gonna do? I mean, I'm gonna be a
yeah,
prick to you. I mean, it doesn't make sense. But I don't know. But Weidman was something else. I never saw
yeah,
anybody so dominant like him.
yeah, yeah. No, his come up was.
Was
I mean, I
crazy.
remember. I mean, when that was the era when Chael Sonnen was talking shit to everybody,
Yep.
and when when Chael was talking about Weidman, he was like, "That's one guy I don't want to fuck with that guy." He would always say that. He would never compliment anybody when he was in his prime, but
Yeah.
Weidman, he was like, "I don't want to fight that guy."
No, no, no. He
That's
was
what he
right
was.
on that too, because I'm
Yeah,
telling you, Chris. Look, the good thing is, I think he became like maybe a nicer guy as he mellowed out. But I that
yeah,
does didn't for him. He needed that edge for fighting, I believe. Anyway, like when he was living in his mother's basement, and he wanted to get out of there. I mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
nothing. It's like when you cross the river and throw the paddles away. That's kind of what he did. He had to
yeah,
make it work, and he just focused all his energy into that, and he did. He was something else. He really was.
yeah. I'm happy it all worked out for him. I mean, if anybody deserves it, I mean, the guy was special for sure.
Without a
George, go ahead.
doubt.
And
Well,
I know that he's healed up, recovered from the leg injury. He's gonna be back in action probably. I think it's next year. I heard somewhere like he's planning to come back, right?
yeah, I mean, look, I just told. I'm actually doing a radio show with him tomorrow, but his leg was still, as of 2 months ago, he got infected again. It's not.
Mm.
He still has pain in the leg. I think they're saying it should be gone by the end of the year, but as of like 2 months ago, it was pretty badly infected. So but this thing has been a nightmare for him.
Yeah, yeah. It's a shame.
Yeah, injuries. Look, with this sport, uh, that's the problem. You got to take care of those injuries because even little nagging injuries turn into big injuries, and then you fight and you're trying to get around everything. They just get worse and worse. So look at all the surgeries people have had. Even Merab's had a couple. Aljo,
Yeah,
his neck, Weidman's up to like 27 surgeries. It's insane. And that's from his wrestling days too, not from just MMA, but he had at least 10 major surgeries since I know him.
I
Yeah.
listen. I never did anything serious in this sport. I never got even a shot or a chance. But like as little as I did, all the amateur shit, my knees are still fucked up.
Yeah.
And I can only
100%.
imagine how the professional fighters feel. I mean, they should be going through agony sometimes. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah. No,
believe you.
it's a rough thing.
Another question for Coach Ray. Yeah, I mean for Georgia, MMA is really a fresh new thing. You could say that in the last, let's say, 3 years, last two
Yeah,
3 years, it has really boomed up. But a lot of people follow Merab right now. They look up to him, and he's an inspiration to a lot of young kids. And Coach, when you were
Yes.
growing up as a kid, who was your biggest inspiration?
Uh, Athletically, you're
Uh,
talking about just anything.
I think in life is it's fine. Like
Uh,
who? Yeah,
I mean, not that this is going to surprise you at all, but I mean, Bruce Lee was definitely somebody
same
that I
here.
really, I mean,
Yeah.
I was right there when the first movie came out. I was like 13, 14, and that was probably the most motivational guy out there because I was into martial arts at a young age when back
was
then
that Big
not many
Boss?
people were.
The Big
Uh,
Boss,
well,
right?
well, it was, yeah, it was So the Chinese connect. I mean, they mix up
Yeah.
the names. I'm going to say the
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
boy, Fist of Fury. I think
Yeah.
was,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
then
That's it.
Chinese Connection and Return of the Dragon and Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
But yeah, it went by a couple of different names though. But as a young kid, I was fucking fascinated and just blown away. I think he's just, if it's not for him, who knows? I don't think I'm here today like that, because it's just such a strong connection to want to learn martial arts, But like if boxing wise, Sugar Ray Leonard was probably what I thought was the best boxer at the time, and I always looked to the coaches. Vince Lombardi, I loved. Uh, I don't know if that's, you guys don't follow football, but that's back in the '60s and '70s. He coached the Green Bay Packers. There's been a couple of people, but I'm not really like an idol worshiper type of guy. But those guys, I took notice, and I like the way they conducted themselves, and I think it had a big influence on me.
Same here. One of my favorite movies of all time is the Way of the Dragon, not Enter the Dragon, The Way of the
Right.
Dragon.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. That's actually it's made in Rome, Italy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, what a shame. 32 years old. Where would that
Yeah.
guy?
I know.
Where would everything have been too if he was still around, or how many other movies, or I don't know. But to accomplish what he accomplished by by the age of 32 is phenomenal.
He does a double leg takedown in one of those fight scenes. I
Oh,
remember.
he does. He's
Takes the
got
guy
some
down.
arm bars. He's got.
Yeah.
I mean, way ahead of his time. Way ahead of
Way
his
ahead.
time. I mean, think about it. Nobody was doing anything like
No.
remotely like that.
Even after that, like in the 90s, when all the cigars and Van Damme started coming out,
Yeah.
everybody was just swinging. That's it.
Yeah,
That's all
yeah,
they
yeah.
did.
Nothing.
Yeah.
No. He was. Come on, chokes, neck cranks.
Remember that scene when he fights Chuck Norris, and there's a scene from the side, and they show their movement, the way he moves
Yeah,
in and
yeah,
out.
yeah.
It's beautiful, man. For the 70s, I mean, come on.
Well, that's where you got to go. That's the key for the '70s. Not that
Yeah.
it still holds up today,
Yeah.
but he was the
Exactly.
first guy to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix. Everybody could copy
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix today, but when Hendrix first came out, nobody knew what the fuck he was doing. It was
Yeah.
so radical because the music was so different back then that there's always those one or two guys that just explode on the scene, and they
Yeah.
could be copied, but they could copy guys could never do what they did, right? That's
To
just
do
the
something, and be
yeah,
the first one to do it,
yeah.
and
That's
you'll always be the first one. Yeah. Actually,
exactly.
that's what I wanted to ask you, because you remember calf kicks recently came into MMA, and they've been very effective throughout this last few years. What do you think? Like, what do you see as a coach? Like, what's the next technique that we might see, and be a game changer? Like, what something?
The shoulder barge.
Yeah, right. It's funny. Like, even think of the calf kick. Like, if 10 years ago, if you kick somebody in the calf, what kind of shitty kick was that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? Like,
Same
kick
with the leg locks too. Leg lock. Nobody
yeah,
was
yeah.
doing leg locks.
Well, leg locks, even when I first started doing jujitsu, they didn't want you doing because they didn't
Yeah.
want you getting hurt. They kind of, again, that's back in the early '90s, but they didn't want leg locks anywhere near anybody. And then that just became, I don't know, within the last 10
And
or
then
15 years.
and then John Danaher said, "Hold my beer," and he just created a
Exactly.
system.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then
He
everybody
fucked the whole
started
thing
attacking
up.
the legs. Yeah. How many probably knee injuries there are because of that.
Yeah, last night Roman Dolidze took Phil Hawes's leg, man. That was a nasty pop, but the fight still carried on. So
No, he's looking pretty good. You guys got Giga Chikazi, who I think was in his corner. He's good, and
Topuria is fighting December.
Topuria, an absolute killer.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm gonna be traveling to Chicago with Levan. Remember Levan, right?
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Bellator
yeah. I
guy.
like Levan a lot, man.
Yeah.
How's he doing
Yeah.
with the
He's
fight?
doing good. He's doing good. He got injured in his last fight. He had the rib injury. That's why, I mean, no excuse. I'm not making excuses for him, but I know he didn't talk about it much, but I want to say it. He got injured. He could, but listen, this has got to be his coming out party, because he's on a main card under Nurmagomedov is the main event. He's in a big card, and he's in a that kid. I mean, listen, that kid's a motherfucker. Let me put it this way.
Yeah, no, he's
Let's see
good
what
too. Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, but he conducts himself as such a gentleman. Weidman, you
Yeah,
knew was a motherfucker when he walked in the room. You
yeah,
don't know
yeah,
him like that, like I know him, but he was
yeah,
fucking.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I
That was
believe.
that.
Yeah,
That was an alpha male times 20 when he came in
yeah.
the room.
I wish, I wish I
Levan's
was
a
around for
sweetheart.
that. Yeah,
Oh
he's a
yeah,
nice
yeah,
guy.
yeah. No, there's still guys that.
Because
Yeah.
I cannot imagine Chris like acting like that because I've never seen him conducting himself
Well,
like
no,
that. He's
not
always
like it.
been.
Yeah, no. He's a great guy. I'm not saying it like that, but when it came time to when the octagon door
Oh
closed,
yeah, yeah.
that's what I'm talking. I'm
No.
not talking about
Oh, I
outside of
see.
that. I'm talking about
No,
when he got in the cage.
no mercy.
No
Okay,
mer.
yeah.
Oh, there was definitely no mercy for
Because
sure.
I've seen Levan going light on the guys when
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
could see that he's killing him. Yeah,
yeah. He needed good work at 70. We didn't. We have just all 55 pounders
yeah, I
down.
know.
It
Yeah.
sucks, but I would have.
But we'll come to see
Yeah.
you again when he's in New York. Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely, we
yeah,
will.
he was good, really good. I'm always
Yeah,
pulling for him too. When is that
I
fight in
appreciate it.
Chicago?
It's November 18th,
18th,
and
right?
Oh wow, so it's the same one as that's the Ring of Combat, and that's where
yeah.
and Dennis is fighting. I think the 19th in Pennsylvania. Yeah,
Coach, we don't want to take too much of your time. It's Sunday. You're probably getting ready for supper with your family. So, George, go ahead. And I got one question I really want to ask Ray. I never got a
yeah.
chance to ask him this. Thing is, I think this is, I thought of this before anybody started tweeting about it, but then people started tweeting about it. Listen, are you guys ever going to give us Sarah Longo like a reality corner or something like that? Because
You
people
know,
want to see this. Coach, this is like you guys are the most entertaining corner of all time in MMA. I mean, honestly,
I'm the problem. I mean, we did shoot a couple of pilots, and
you did.
they never got picked up. We shot two for sure, and the last one would have been really good because it was about following like Aljo and Al and through their ups and downs. And
Yeah,
I think, like Aljo's story's been fantastic. You know what I mean? So I think I always text the producer and go, you missed out on another one. Like, but they did shoot a sizzle reel, they call it. And they did try to pitch it to a couple places and nobody picked it up. So it's not like we didn't think about it, haven't tried. It's just, it's
they
not as easy
the
as you think, I think.
yeah, probably. Punch a hole in his chest was my best, the favorite of mine, of course, for everybody else. But then, look at the motherfucker when you called Aljo on
Yeah,
the second
yeah,
Yan fight. That became like my all-time favorite Ray Longo moment. I mean, that was just
yeah, it's fine. I mean, look, the reason for that was, everybody had
yeah,
Aljo written off. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And it's just, I want him to know I believed in him.
Mm,
And look what you just did. That's the guy that's supposed to kill you. I mean, what are you
mm.
kidding me? It's like I felt like we're out on the street at that point. You know what I mean? That gets I don't know. That should. I'm nuts. I'm half crazy. I guess I don't know.
I remember walking up to Aljo before that fight. I was like, dude, please beat us, beat this guy for all of us. And by all of
Yeah,
us, I mean
yeah,
all the Georgians. But I was like,
yeah,
please beat this guy.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
I go, no pressure, man.
I
And he
tell you,
starts laughing.
Marav's been really outspoken with the Russian thing
Yeah,
lately. I'm glad,
yeah, I
and
know.
when we were in Moscow, because Kedarov was sitting in the fucking front row. I'm glad he didn't go crazy then, because
Yeah, that guy.
we all might not have made it out of Russia.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that the people like that are still around this sport. But yeah, what are
Yeah,
you gonna do?
yeah. No, really bad.
It is what it is. And also a sad day for me personally today because Anderson Silva lost to that fucking guy yesterday, and
Yeah,
that's
but
just I
again,
mean,
Romy, I mean, 47 years old, man. You
yeah, I
can't,
know.
I mean, it's worse that this kid. Look, the kid can box. Is he? But
Mm,
Anderson Silva was 100% the better boxer. But there's
yeah,
only so much you could do with that. The kid's young enough to take it and then
yeah.
give it out. It's not
As
that
he was
kid's got.
pressing him,
Yeah, he was.
sorry.
He looked great. That kid's got nothing to be happy for, as
Yeah,
far as I'm concerned.
yeah,
It's almost like I just like it's almost disrespectful. The guy's 47. The guy's looking at
yeah.
50 years old. You
Yeah,
know.
it was just sad. I don't want to see those kind of fights anymore. I hope they stop doing this, the MMA guys, especially guys like Anderson. I hold him very high. I mean, he's up there,
Yeah,
Mount
yeah,
Rushmore. He's like, and to see him fight like somebody like Jake Paul, who hasn't earned a spot with Anderson Silva in the ring,
Crazy.
it kind of, rubs me the wrong way. I don't want to see
I
it.
don't blame you. I don't blame you. Look, we're in a crazy world now with this
Yeah.
YouTube and social media. I don't get it, to be honest with you. But
Coach, I feel like sometimes I feel like I'm from your generation because I have the same outlooks on the certain things.
Yeah.
And as young as I am, I've been watching this fucking sport for 17 years.
Isn't that's crazy?
And
that's
I've seen
crazy.
This is why that's sad for me, because I've seen what the sport and the guys have been through, and now for this young guy, rich young boy come around and do all this disrespectful shit. It's kind of
You know what? I'd like to see Anderson Silva fight a guy 47.
Yeah.
See how that
goes.
Yeah, see how that goes. That's different. Yeah. But this kid has got. I mean, it's really. I don't even know. He's got nothing to be happy for. It's.
Yeah. I think Nate Diaz is signing him up. Nate Diaz was there. I don't know if he's looking for that.
Man.
Listen, there's a million guys under 30 that'll beat the ever living shit out of that kid. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'll tell you one thing. He's a genius at picking his fights. That is no question about it.
Absolutely.
I mean, Ben Askren. I mean, that guy. He couldn't hurt you if you let him hit you in the head 10 times. Who's that guy? Who's he ever hurt with a punch? I mean, think of what a beautiful call out that is. The guy's incapable of hurting you. It's he's playing off the fact that people want money, and they'll do. I mean, it's just bad. The whole thing is bad. But I'll tell you one thing: that place was sold out last night.
Yeah, man.
That had to be because of Anderson.
He said that was, and it was mostly MMA crowd from what I've heard.
Yeah. They were even booing Uriah Hall. He went the distance with a basketball player. This is crazy shit. Boxing is totally different.
Well, listen, Coach. We like I said, we don't want to take up too much of your time. I cannot express how much I appreciate you coming on. I wanna see you go to Georgia with Merab, without Merab. Just go there. I'm sure you're gonna have a blast. You're gonna have a great time. I promise you. And
he always invites. He does always invite.
Yeah. You gotta go, man. You gotta go.
I'm gonna make it there someday for sure.
Yeah. And I wish you luck with all the guys.
Thanks.
And I hope to see you again in the gym soon. I'm just
100%.
I'm not.
And don't be afraid to ask. I'll always do the show for you. I don't know where you get this. I don't know.
No, I don't like taking advantage of. I mean, I know a lot of UFC guys. I know a lot of Bellator guys. I'm friends with them, but I never really ask them to come on or ask them to like help me get somebody else. I just don't. I don't like to do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Thank you so much, Coach. It was a true honor, and on behalf of the entire MMA heads in Georgia, we appreciate you.
I love the Georgians. So keep up the good work, guys. Get the word out about all these guys fighting, and
absolutely,
let's take it to the top, man. Let's go. Merab's next, man. Love this kid, and I just want to see him do good. So I got a good feel about it.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, guys, take it easy, man.
Ciao.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Ciao.